Hey, it's Rob Weinberg, and on this channel, we empower people to take control of their futures through expert mortgage, financial, and real estate strategies. If it's your first time watching, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to get notified on all the future content we're putting out every week for you guys. In our lesson today, we're going to be talking about co-living and co-buying and how these options can help increase affordability in today's challenging housing market. So the co-living and co-buying situation is going to entail sharing a living space with somebody else. So with co-living, we're talking about buying a home and then renting out rooms to others. And with co-buying, we're talking about buying a property with somebody else that's going to share those monthly expenses with you as well. So either way, whether you're doing co-buying or co-living, they both are going to increase the affordability of the home. And that's really the whole reason why people go into these situations, to help increase that affordability. Some other reasons, though, that you would do co-buying or co-living is for social connection. Especially if you're younger and you like being around others, having a co-buying or co-living arrangement can give you that social connection that you may want and might need on a daily basis. Flexible living arrangements are another big reason people do this. So if you're someone that's traveling all the time and not really able to keep up with a lot of the maintenance and repairs of a home, sometimes this can be a good solution, because while you're out and about doing your thing, somebody else can be there helping to keep up the property, helping to maintain everything going on. So that's another big reason. Now, as far as structures, what I want to talk about here is how are the structures created to entail either co-living or co-buying. So really what we're talking about on co-living is a rental agreement or some sort of rental arrangement that would be in writing. Obviously, if you're doing like a short-term rental like Airbnb or VRBO, there's going to be online agreements that are going to be signed. If you're doing long-term tenants like 6 to 12-month leases, you'll want to put together a legal agreement or a lease agreement that can be used. As far as the co-buying goes, there's going to be a mortgage agreement that you're both going to sign when you're taking out the mortgage. But I do recommend going a little more in depth than that. In case something happens with the relationship down the road, you want to get a real estate attorney involved and get a co-buying agreement drawn up that says what happens if one of the partners needs to leave the situation or needs to get out of ownership of the property. One of the biggest mistakes that I see people make is that they don't create their own legal agreements or get an attorney. They just go off something generic that may not be applicable to them. So a common question that comes up when talking about co-buying is the mortgage options for this. Obviously, with co-living, you're dealing with tenants. There's not going to be any mortgage required for those tenants. Renters don't need a mortgage, but you as the homeowner, you as the buyer are going to need a mortgage. Many think that it's more difficult to apply for a loan with multiple people or others that aren't related to you than it is just yourself or with a married couple, and that couldn't be further from the truth. You are able to apply for a mortgage with anybody that you want, friend, family member, acquaintance, coworker. There's really no restriction that you have, and it's not any more difficult generally to apply for a mortgage with someone that you're not related to than it is someone you are, again, like a spouse or whatnot. So the mortgage options can be very plentiful for this. The same options you'd have with a personal individual purchase are the same type of options you're generally going to have with a co-buying arrangement. Each person would have their loan application reviewed individually, but then they would be combined and you would both sign a joint agreement at the closing for who's responsible for the mortgage and whatnot. So those are the mortgage options you can expect. Definitely want to reach out to an advisor early on to get pre-approved so you can make sure that you and your co-buyer are in a good financial position to be able to move forward with the purchase. It wouldn't be right to talk about co-living and co-buying without going into the risks that are associated, because as I think you would expect, there is going to be more risks with these situations than others. So the downsides or the challenges are going to be a lot of disagreements going on. Disagreements, the lines of who's going to pay for what. We're not only talking about mortgage expense, but utilities, upkeep, maintenance, etc. So you really want to make sure you have clear, legally binding agreements, as I said earlier, in order to help you move forward in this process with the least friction possible. And also make sure that you have that real estate attorney. I recommend whether you're doing co-buying or co-living, get a real estate attorney involved. They're really worth their weight in gold when it comes to getting these arrangements put together. Okay, so keep those risks in mind. There's almost always going to be friction, but if you have those agreements in place, it can make it a lot simpler and easier to move forward from there. So what advice would I give someone who's out there today looking at a co-buying or co-living arrangement? I would say research is the number one thing that I would say for advice. Take your time with this. Do a lot of research. Make sure you have clear written binding agreements with both the tenants if you're doing co-living, or your other mortgagor or other co-buyer if you're doing the co-buying situation. Those are absolutely crucial. Open communication is also very important in these situations. So have a method of communication with everyone you're working with on this to make sure that when things need to happen, you know how to reach them and everyone's on the same page. You want to also consult with real estate agents, lenders, attorneys, as we're talking about, to provide valuable guidance throughout this process of co-living and co-buying. And it's my understanding and vision that really this is the future of housing. It looks like the home prices are going to continue to increase. Mortgage rates are going to stabilize. And even if they go down, it's not going to create a big gap in affordability in the market. So the co-living and co-buying scenarios are here to stay. And hopefully this gives you some insight on what to expect and how to navigate a co-living or co-buying process. If you found value in our lesson today, go ahead and share this with somebody else that may also find value in it. Comment below and let me know your thoughts, and feel free to reach out to me by call, text, or private message. I do offer one-on-one personalized consultations. You can reach me at 860-413-3938. As always, I hope that helps, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care.